The Diocese of Oakland is now using a standards-based grading system.
In this new system, learning comes first. The standards-based learning cycle includes 4 elements: instructing, assessing, grading, and reporting. Let's take a closer look at standards-based grading and reporting. Standards-based grading focuses on specific grade level standards students need to master by the end of the school year and the progression and growth of learning over time. Homework, effort, and behavior are in a separate section of the report card. Traditional letter grades average academic work and include other factors such as behavior, work habits, and homework to determine a grade. The advantage of a standards-based system is that grades reflect specific information about what a student has learned, including areas of strengths and needs. Here's another way of thinking about this concept. Pretend you've just had a complete physical exam. From which doctor, A or B, would you rather receive your results? Dr. A tells you, well, your health is a B-. Or Dr. B tells you, well, your blood pressure is 120/80 and your weight of 160 is good for your age and height. Your iron level of 126 is excellent, but your cholesterol level of 275 is too high. We'll need to come up with a plan to lower that number. Even though both are excellent doctors, the way Dr. B reported information on your health is more specific, detailed, and lets the patient know his or her strengths and weaknesses. Dr. B represents a standards-based way of grading and reporting because it focuses on specifics rather than vague, general labels. Standards-based grading system is a numerical system ranging from 1 to 4 for grades TK through 5th. So, what do the numbers mean? Let's use another analogy and pretend that making a cupcake is a learning standard. If a student has been taught the recipe and given the materials to make cupcakes, but doesn't apply the knowledge and is not able to use the materials correctly, that would be graded a 1. This student shows minimal achievement of the standard and needs more time, experiences, and intervention from the chef. If the student has been taught the recipe and has the materials to make cupcakes, but is not able to do it independently, needs assistance from the chef, or needs more practice, or there are so many steps in making the cupcake that the student isn't able to get through all of them, then the student will receive a 2. The student is developing the skills needed to progress toward basic understanding of the grade level standard, but is not quite there yet. If the student has been taught the recipe, has all the materials, and can successfully and independently make the cupcakes, then this student shows proficiency and will receive a 3. The student demonstrates solid, acceptable achievement and understands the standard. Level 3 is the level that shows proficiency. It is the goal for all students to reach by the end of the school year. When a student knows how to successfully and independently make cupcakes, but decides to do something completely different with the cupcake recipe, extending and expanding what is expected or taught, then this student will receive a 4. It is not common to have many 4s unless a student is consistently and independently demonstrating in-depth understanding and exceeding required performance and understanding of the standard above and beyond what is taught or expected. Now, many times a standard on the report card may include several related standards. In order for a student to reach a grade of a 3, all the related standards need to be mastered. You can think of it this way. When a person is studying to get their pilot's license, there are many different parts of flying they must successfully complete to demonstrate mastery. They need to show that they can successfully do takeoffs, flying, navigation, and landing. But if a person has learned and mastered the first 3, but hasn't learned how to successfully land the plane, then that person would not receive their pilot's license, since not all requirements of flying a plane were met. All parts of the standard need to be met with proficiency before a student receives a 3 on the report card. At times, a student may receive a 2 on his report card because he's mastered some but not all elements of the standard. Or sometimes some but not all of the elements of the standard were taught, so again the student will receive a 2. This traditional way of thinking about grading and reporting would be similar to a student running 3 separate races throughout the school year with different requirements, terrain, and expectations, with the races having no connection to each other. Each trimester represented the end of learning for that time period. In a standards-based grading and reporting system, students don't run 3 different unrelated races, but rather one race. Reporting of grades is based on students learning and meeting standards by the end of the school year. This way, students have more time to learn, practice, and master grade-level expectations and standards. Since the ultimate goal is to get students to learn standards by the end of the year, the Trimester 1 and Trimester 2 grades are a reflection of the students' progress and performance to that point in the school year. Think of Trimester 1 and 2 grades representing the water stations during a long race. At the water station, the runners check their pulses, rehydrate, and reflect on how they're doing so far and the pace they need to continue the race. The Trimester 1 and 2 report cards are really progress reports on what and how a student is learning. Progress reports provide teachers, parents, and students the opportunity to check how the student is doing in achieving the ultimate goal of meeting grade-level standards by the end of the school year. A report card should not only inform students and parents about what the student is able to know and do, but also how the student is learning. A specific section of the report card entitled Characteristics that Support Learning focuses on a student's learning and classroom traits, including behavior, effort, and social skills. These are important characteristics that contribute to a student's success in school.
Characteristics that support learning include completing quality work, being prepared for learning, participating in learning, following classroom expectations, showing behavior or social development, and showing Catholic identity.
Characteristics that support learning will be marked as M for consistently meeting the standard, A for approaching the standard, and N for needing support. Formative assessment is the continuous feedback to a child on his learning during the learning process in order for teachers to modify teaching to build the child's skills step by step. This includes breaking down the teaching of a concept into processes, observing the child's progress during lessons through class activities and homework, and giving her feedback through the diagnostics, markings, and comments. While formative assignments are recorded in the gradebook, they do not count in a child's overall grade. Summative assessment, on the other hand, is a judgment on what the child knows. It is not a time of feedback to the student, but a final assessment of knowledge on a given standard. This is what is entered into the gradebook. In the real world, people are graded on behaviors, not just knowledge. We all have to do things in our jobs that we do not agree with or like, but we don't get to decide not to do them. In school, it's no different. In a standards-based grading system, behaviors are taught and reported. However, behaviors are separate from achievement and are not included as a measure of academic learning. Standards-based practices involve students more fully in the learning process, so they are aware of what they need to do to learn and progress towards mastery. Even in classrooms using standard-based practices, students will still complete work and assignments they don't want to do. The difference is that they will understand why this work is important to further their learning. It is critical that students develop good work habits that will help them succeed in high school, college, and in their future.
Learning comes first in a standards-based system. Our standards-based report card shows the progress each student is making toward the end-of-year expectations and provides opportunities for parents, students, and teachers to reflect on the individual strengths and needs of each student.